Winter is coming, and there are plenty of surprises left. The Mountain and the Viper. This episode, this is kind of a big deal, and a lot of stuff, again, that I'm not gonna be able to talk about because I don't do spoilers. What can I talk about? Well, we touch in back at Molestown at the wall, and we get to touch in with Gilly and a few other characters that we've seen before, and oddly, she's not annoying me. When Gilly sort of came around at the end of the third season and Sam really felt responsible for her, I had a feeling like, you're gonna bug me. But we're getting her in very small doses that I'm like, okay, you're working for me. I was afraid it was gonna become like Shay, where it started out interesting, but then you just bugged me, please go away. Thankfully, that's not happening. We get some more build up towards stuff going bad out the wall. I have a feeling that the sort of big season set piece, which is usually an episode 9 thing, which is our next one, is going to be the assault on Castle Black, because we've been building to this since the end of the previous season and we still haven't gotten it. And they need to do it this season, because if they don't, then it's going to become like Daenerys getting over to Westeros with her dragons. It's going to be like, how long are you going to stall this? But it doesn't feel like they're stalling it right now. It feels like they're building very clearly towards it, which makes me very excited for the next episode. But talking more about this one, since I brought up Daenerys, let's talk about what's going on across the Narrow Sea. We get some really interesting moments with this guy. Now, I haven't really talked about him before because there wasn't much to talk about. Not that he wasn't good, he's always been great, but he's been one of the kind of stable rocks of the show. He doesn't rock the boat, he's there, he's firm, you can always count on him. Well, now they've done something interesting with him, and I've always enjoyed him, largely on the strength of the performance, and now they've kind of taken him in a direction that's like, oh, there's a lot of ways this could go, and I'm not sure where it's going to end up with for him personally, but I like that the sort of the rug can get pulled out under a character that you think, oh, steady as a rock, I know this person's deal. Oh, well, something's gonna have to change. Where's it gonna go? Daario Naharis has been sent off. He's bugging me, which is fine. We get more time with Grey Worm, which I'm enjoying, and sort of seeing him almost try to figure out how to be human, because he's just unsullied. That's what he is, that's all he's ever known. And to sort of see him start to dig within himself to find something else, it's a bit like, I'm about to get sci-fi in my fantasy with this analogy, but it's like when you have an automaton or a robotic character trying to mine some depth and to understand humanity better. It's a bit like that. It's like he's trying to break his programming. Is he going to get there? Is he going to figure it out? Or is it just going to open up a can of worms that really he's not prepared to deal with? I don't know, but I like where it's headed. Over in the Vale, we get some interesting fallout in terms of where things pick up off of what happened last time, which again, spoiler free, can't talk about it. Sansa is becoming interesting, like legitimately interesting. She's now finally got some dimension. She seems to finally, for the first time, have an agenda, have a plan, have something going on between her ears, and she's not just operating on moping and trying to survive. She's got something else going on. I'm not entirely sure what it is that she's after and what it is she wants. And I like that. But of course, the major set piece of this episode is saved for the end. And that's what goes on at King's Landing. Now, if you've been following the season at all, just on the title of this episode, you know what I'm talking about. Even if you haven't seen this episode yet, you know what's been building towards. And it does not disappoint. I have to kind of just leave it at that, but it's well executed and it builds off of just this pretty much season-long build-up towards this moment that happens that we've been getting most in small doses for most of the episodes up to this point. So we really they come to a good head at the end of this episode. And then the very last moment it ends on makes me go, woo, but also, because again, seeing the possibilities where things could go, I know this show could take either route. On any other show, it's like, okay, that happened, now there are these two options. Any other show, it would always be this one, because if you do the other thing, well, then you break the show. Well, this show is not afraid to break its mold and completely tear apart what you think it should be happening. So, I don't know what's gonna happen next, but I cannot wait to find out. It's interesting, this episode as a whole really spends a lot of time giving us either great little moments with characters that we don't see a lot of, or adding depth to characters who had been side characters up to this point. Oh, I do have to mention one other thing, just my favorite moment. It was so quick. It was with Arya and the Hound. They're going along doing their things, and something happens, and it's not a big event, it's not a life-changing event, it doesn't matter too much in the scope of things, but Arya's reaction to it is gold. It's just solid gold. In an already amazing episode, it was my favorite moment by far, and I just had to mention that. So let me ask you this. I mentioned Sansa and Grey Worm and a few other characters who were either one-dimensional or bored me that are starting to gain depth. Who was a character on the show for you that for a while you're like, not interested, but then something happened, something was done, something that was added that made you interested in them? What is that character for you? Drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Until next time, this council is adjourned.